Hi everybody, welcome to the Manifold channel. Today we're going to learn how to use the new fill transforms that have just appeared in the latest version of Manifold System, and we're going to use the free edition Manifold Viewer because anybody can download that with no strings attached. There's no need to register, there's no need to, there's no adware, there's no spam, there's no upsell or promotional marketing, no requests for donations, none of that stuff. You can just download it and use it for free the way free software used to work. And Manifold Viewer is the free edition of Manifold System Release 9. It'll do everything that Manifold Release 9 will do, except that it's read-only. So you can still use it to visualize fantastic data from hundreds of different data sources, connect the databases and all that other wonderful stuff. You just can't save the project once you're done, but still, that gives you a lot of stuff that you can do with it for absolutely for free. Anyway, what we've done is we've opened up a project here where we've imported data from Space Shuttle train elevation data, the so-called SRTM data set. And what we're looking at is the Alps in the northeast part of Italy. Let's zoom into a location here that shows a closer view, and you can see how there's a lot of missing data. The missing data here is where there are invisible pixels, and they're allowing the white background to show through. We formatted this data set so that it's colored and it uses hill shading. That's very quick and easy to do, but that's not what this video is about, so let's get on with this video. In this video, we're going to learn how to fill in these missing pixels, and we're going to use the three fill transforms that are point-and-click transforms in the transform panel. To do that, we click on the contents pane, and here we choose transform, and there we can see these three: fill, fill missing, and fill missing nearest. These are all backed by SQL functions, and if we like, we can use those SQL functions, but today we're going to do it the simple way, the point-and-click way. The first one I'm going to show you is fill. Click on fill, and you immediately get a preview of what it does. What fill does is it fills all visible pixels, ignoring the invisible ones, with whatever value you give it. So if you want to flatten a terrain so that's all the same height, for example, sea level for a value of 0, just put in 0. If you want it to be 100, or let's make that 500, so the palette starts changing, you can see it just flattens the terrain, so all around the terrain is 500, I guess in this case meters in height, because this is a meter-based terrain elevation data set. Fill missing will take whatever value you want and it'll put it into the missing pixels. So you can see what fill does. It puts the value into all the visible pixels, and fill missing puts that value into all the invisible ones. You can see how all these areas here that were white, where there were missing pixels, where the background could show through, are now filled with a terrain elevation of 500. If we wanted to make them all sea level, we could do that, which is the effect of putting very deep lakes into these parts of the Alps, sea level lakes. Or we could make it 500. Or we could make it 1,000. In the case of 1,000, let's add another 0 there, you can see that in the higher parts of the Alps, those are lakes, and in the lower parts of the Alps here, those end up being plateaus. And Manifold is doing all this previewing on the fly. We haven't actually changed the data. We're just picking different transforms, and we are changing the data. But what we usually want to do when we fill missing pixels is we don't want to fill all the missing pixels with the same value. Instead, we want them to be interpolated based on pixels that are near them. So for that, we have the fill missing nearest transform. And what this does, it takes for every missing pixel in one of these missing pixel areas, it finds the nearest pixel within a radius of whatever radius we give it. So here with a radius of 1, it's just going to look 1 pixel away. So as a result, it can't fill many of the missing areas. If we made that a radius of 3, it can now fill more of them, where it can reach out to a radius of 3 pixels distance from the missing pixel, and it'll find the nearest pixel and use that value to fill in the missing pixel. If we change that to 5, it gets almost all of them, but still there's some regions where the missing pixels are farther than 5 pixels away from real data, so those don't get filled in. To deal with those, we might want to use a value of 10. And we can see even that's not enough, because there are parts, I'm going to zoom out here, you can see that there are parts of the display which are not filled in because they're more than 10 pixels away. So let's use a radius of 20. Using a greater radius than you need to fill in small regions is okay, because in any event it's simply going to go and look out and find the nearest pixels. Now at some point when you get farther and farther away from missing pixels, you're going to get some degradation of quality, because obviously if this whole region here was missing and you reached out for the nearest pixel that was somewhere, you know, like 100 or 200 pixels away, well, you're not going to get the terrain elevation data that you want. But this is not a bad way of filling in small regions where there are missing pixels. Like I say, so far we're just looking at previews. We haven't actually done anything. Manifold is so fast that it can preview what the transform is going to do. without actually altering the data. If we wanted to actually alter the data, we click on this button down here which says Add Component, and we'll do that. And what it's now going to do, it's going to make a copy of that data, and it's going to put it here in the project pane under a new name. It uses this long name, Alps Tiles Fill Missing Nearest Image, by default, so you can see where that data came from. I'm going to drag and drop that into the map with our other display, and you can see that this new one is formatted using default formatting. It's not using the same style that the Alps image uses here. Style is just something that's applied. It tells the image how to display the data. It doesn't alter the data. So if we wanted to use the style from the Alps image to fill in this Alps tiles, to style this new image that we created, that's easy to do. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. I'll show you my favorite one here, where I just right-click on the tile on the Alps image that I want to use. I'll right-click on that and I'll choose Properties. And here we can see that the style is simply this long JSON string. It's human-readable JSON. We can just right-click and choose Copy. Click Cancel. And now what I can do is here on the Alps Tiles Missing Image, I can click Properties. And here I'll double-click, create a Style Pixel property, and I'll paste the JSON string that I copied from the other image there. And that's the same JSON string, the same tile. When I click OK, like magic, it'll color this image that we've filled in. Let's go back to that same location that we started with, and you can see all the different missing pixels are now filled in. And it's actually remarkable good quality. Even up here, where there's a pretty big gap, that's not going to look quite as good as it does down here, where the interpolation can be smoother because the gap to fill is smaller. But still, not a bad result for filling in a terrain that you're going to use as terrain elevation data. It shows the entire Alps here as a kind of a seamless thing. We're working with only about 40 megabytes of data here. It's a single SRTM tile, so that's not going to be that's not the least bit stressful for Manifold. Manifold could easily work with not just 40 megabytes, but 400 megabytes and even 40 gigabytes, and still produce such fast results. But that's what you get with such small data. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and goodbye from Manifold Land. Well, that was fun. If you want to see more, visit us at www.manifold.net. As always, Manifold delivers the world's most advanced, highest quality spatial products for GIS and DBMS at a low price that you can afford. Once again, that's manifold.net. See you soon.